Hi again, this is Rodolfo Eric Angat, your teacher in Earth and Environmental Science. Today, we will be learning about mining. Our essential question for today is, how do I explain the need and consequences of mining? Our target competencies are, I can define mining. I can explain why mining is done. I can differentiate the two types of mining techniques. I can define and describe the process of dredging. I can define and explain the fracking process. And finally, I can identify and explain the impacts of mining to the environment. Let us first define mining. Mining is the extraction or acquisition of minerals and fossil fuels from Earth. You have to remember, minerals are found in rocks, and rocks are either on the surface or under the ground, and most of the time, very deep inside Earth. All fossil fuels are derived through the process of mining. Fossil fuels include oil, coal, and natural gas. And we all get this we get these fossil fuels through the process of mining. Mining poses a very big danger to our environment. Many people oppose mining because mining destroy our environment. But why do we still have to do mining when we know that it's destroying our environment? The reason is mining provide employment. A lot of people get their livelihood or they get their employment from mining industries. The minerals that we get from mining are used as raw materials like the computer, the webcam, the tablet, the cell phone that I'm using right now in remote learning. We won't have them unless we mine the minerals that are used to make them. Mining provides us sources of energy. Coal, oil, and natural gas are acquired through mining. Without mining, we will not be able to run our car. So that's a problem. Of course, some cars now are electric, so those cars would still work. So, but most of the cars are still use gasoline as of this point. Rocks contain minerals, and those rocks that contain enough minerals that they can be profitably mined are called ores. This is a gold ore, iron ore, and copper ore. A rock that contains enough metal or metal compounds so that it can be mined profitably is what we call as an ore. This ore is processed to remove the unwanted rock, and this unwanted rock and the chemicals that was used to process the ore is called mine tailing. This mine tailing is one of the reasons why people don't like the process of mining, because the mine tailing destroys rivers and lakes. There are two types of mining. We have the open cast or surface mining, and we have the underground mining. Here's a picture for us to better understand the two types of mining. Again, we have the open cast or surface mining, and we have the underground mining. Usually, the underground mining is done when the minerals are very deep into the ground, while the open cast mining or surface mining is done when the minerals are just close to the surface. On the left side of this picture shows you the underground mining. Underground mining make use of shafts and tunnels in order to acquire the minerals that are being mined. On the right side, we have the surface mining, wherein they remove all the soil and rocks in order to expose the minerals that they are mining. Now, the mountaintop mining here, this is usually the one that they do in order to acquire the coal, especially in Appalachian Mountains. So in the Appalachian Mountains, they do the mountaintop mining. They scrape off the rocks and soil from the peak of the mountain, and then open it up and get all the coal that is found in there. So this is underground mining, and this is surface mining. Now, this is an example of surface mining. Open pit mining is surface mining. One of the danger of open pit or surface mining is landslide, like what's happening here. Landslide happens due to gravity. This is another example of open pit or open cast or open cut mining. So this process is surface mining technique of extracting rock or minerals from earth by the removal of the soil above it, or the soil and rocks above it. See how deep this is? It's very deep, isn't it? Now, another example of surface mining is called strip mining. So they remove the soil and rocks strip by strip, and that's why we call it the strip mining process. Strip mining is the removal of soil and rock above a layer or seam, followed by the removal of the exposed mineral. Strip mining is used when the minerals are close to Earth's surface. This is an example of an underground mining. Underground mining uses shafts and tunnels to acquire the minerals. Minerals that are located too deep in the ground are acquired through underground mining. Now this picture here shows us again the difference between surface mining and underground mining. So this is underground mining right here using shafts and tunnels, and this is surface mining right here. The thing about surface mining and underground mining is that they both disturb the land. See this one here? They built the tunnels and they get the minerals that they want to get. And then after that, they cut all the trees, they ruin all the ecosystem here, they destroy the habitat of the living things that live here. And that's why a lot of people don't like mining. But what choice do we have? We are consumers. We buy devices, we buy products, and these products are created because of the minerals that are mined. That's why there's only one solution. If you really want to help protect the environment, the best thing that you can do is to avoid those things that have a lot of pollution or create a lot of pollution, or were created with things that pollute the environment, or you can recycle, you can reuse, and reduce your consumption. Doing those is the best way for you to really help the environment. But stopping the mining process is near to impossible because we consume things. Mining activities change the landscape by removing trees and excavating land. So what are the effects of mining? Let's see this video here. Oh, it's a picture. See this one? This is one of the effects of mining. This is called the siltation of lakes. Remember when I said mine tailings earlier? Those mine tailings are made up of sediments and chemicals from the mining industry. When they process those ores, they produce a lot of waste material which we call as mine tailings. Those mine tailings are composed of sediments and chemicals, and those materials are washed into rivers and lakes, which makes the rivers and lakes shallower and polluted. This is called siltation of lake. See, this is all the sediments from the broken rocks when they process those ores to get the minerals. Now, one way that the government and non-governmental organization do to help revive rivers and lakes is to remove the silt and allow the river to flow again. And this process is called dredging. Dredging is the process of removing the silt from the lake or from the river in order to allow the water to freely flow again and allow the body of water to be revived. This is another example of dredging. Now, the mining industry close by this area have has released a lot of mine tailings that has made this uh, canal so shallow and so polluted that it needs to be revived through the process of dredging and other processes. Dredging is the removal of sediments and debris from the bottom of lakes, rivers, harbors, and other water bodies. What are the effects of mining? Deforestation. See what happened to the forested land here? The very first step in surface mining is to remove all the trees, remove everything, and then scrape the soil and the rocks, and then dig and dig and dig, and then get the rocks and then process them. So this is what happens when mining process comes in an area. Deforestation can lead to the destruction of habitat. Now, the mine tailings contain a lot of chemicals too. And these chemicals are very toxic. See the mine tailings here, and can lead to a lot of fish kills. And it can also cause the water very toxic that people can no longer drink it. So mine tailings are not only made up of sediments and small rocks, they also contain toxic chemicals like arsenic and many others. And we don't like that, right? Now, the arsenic in drinking water, uh, arsenic is a toxic chemical, and it can really make us sick. It comes from rocks, and once the rocks are processed to get the minerals, it is released. And some people also use it as a chemical to process in the to process the ores that are acquired from the ground. Arsenic can enter the air through rock erosion, mining activity, volcanic eruption, or forest fires. So arsenic is something that we don't like. Arsenic is a substance found in the environment. It occurs naturally in crushed rocks. So when they crush the rocks, the arsenic is already there. It is often found near gold deposits and is extracted as part of gold and other mining activities. And it's poison. Urgh. What are the dangers of arsenic poisoning? Nerve damage, skin damage, cancer, circulatory problems. Of course, aside from arsenic, we also have lead poisoning. And lead can also be released uh, from the processes of mining and can come with the mine tailings. Arsenic is still used as an ingredient in pesticides, wood preservatives, copper and lead alloys, glass semiconductor devices, and veterinary medicines. Even lead. It's used in some paints. That's why some toys are being recalled because they use lead in the paint that was uh, administered to the toys. Now, if children will keep on biting that toy, then they'll get the lead from the paint. Arsenic is the same thing. They use it, but then we are given warning on the usage of certain products that contain them, and we always need to have our PPEs to protect us from these very toxic chemicals. So PPEs or PPE means, I forgot. No, it's personal protection. I forgot the meaning of PPE. Okay, personal protection equipment. I hope I said that right. Okay, next continue. Let's continue. So fracking is the process of drilling down into the earth before a high pressure water mixture is directed at the rock to release the gas inside. Fracking is the process that they use in order to extract natural gas from the ground. They say that it's a very good mining technique because it does not disturb the ground, it does not destroy the trees, but many people oppose it because they say that it releases a lot of methane, and methane is a very potent greenhouse gas. So this is how fracking is done. So what they do is that they inject a tube into the ground, and then they force water and air into the tube and other chemicals to loosen the rocks under the ground. When the rocks get loosened, then they extract the natural gas. Natural gas, among the three types of fossil fuels, is the cleanest. Many people who believe in fracking say that this is the best way to go because extracting natural gas help us in lessening the pollution in the atmosphere because natural gas is the cleanest type of fossil fuel. But those who are opposing fracking are saying that the process of fracking release a lot of methane into the atmosphere, that the benefit that they claim is very little compared to the methane that they release into the atmosphere. Another thing about this is that since they insert a tube into the ground and then inject water, chemicals, and sand into the tube, what happens is the groundwater gets contaminated by this water that they inject and the chemicals that they inject. So when we drink the groundwater, what happens is we get sick. Even if we use filters like arsenic, you cannot filter that. Lead, you cannot filter that. So we still get affected. Those two reasons are the reasons why people oppose fracking. First, fracking release a lot of methane. And second, fracking pollutes the groundwater where we get our drinking water. Of course, there are other sources of drinking water like from reservoir or dams, but a lot of people also get their drinking water from the groundwater or aquifer. Once a mine has been closed, the goal of the mine is to have a reclamation plan. If only everybody will be doing this, then we would have less problem. Of course, there will still be pollution, whatever they do, but at least they can minimize it. So this is a surface mining here. Once they are done getting all the minerals, or they have gotten all the minerals from the mining area, they can at least have a reclamation plan and make it into a good habitat again. If all miners do this, then the problem would be very minimal. So this is called a reclamation plan. Now, this is again fracking. Fracking, another reason why people don't like it is because it uses a lot of water. 70 to 140 billions of gallons of water used to fracture 35,000 wells in the US each year. Imagine that. It doesn't only use a lot of water, it also pollutes the water under the ground. However, we need natural gas. Natural gas is usually the one that we use to cook our food inside our homes. So if you have a burner inside your home, then that's natural gas. And we can cook inside our homes because natural gas is the cleanest among the three types of fossil fuel. Fracking is a drilling technique used for extracting oil or natural gas from deep underground. Now remember when I said earlier that there are three types of fossil fuels. So we have the fossil fuel known as coal. Fossil fuels are acquired through mining. Coal is acquired through surface mining like this, while oil is extracted through hydraulic fracturing, and same with natural gas. Okay. Coal can also be extracted through underground mining using shafts and tunnels. Again, this one is how they extract the oil and also for natural gas. So remember, all fossil fuels are acquired through mining, and among the three fossil fuels, natural gas is the cleanest, and many people believe that coal is the most polluting. Okay. Now let's watch a little bit of the fracking process right here.
What is hydraulic fracturing or fracking? Since the Industrial Revolution, our energy consumption has risen unceasingly. The majority of this energy consumption is supplied by fossil fuels like coal or natural gas. Recently, there's been a lot of talk about a controversial method of extracting natural gas, hydraulic fracturing or fracking. Put simply, fracking describes the recovery of natural gas from deep layers inside the earth. In this method, porous rock is fractured by the use of water, sand, and chemicals in order to release the enclosed natural gas. The technique of fracking has been known since the 1940s. Nonetheless, only in the last 10 years has there been quite a fracking boom, especially in the USA. This is because most conventional natural gas sources in America and on the European continent have been exhausted. Thus, prices for natural gas and other fuels are rising steadily. Significantly more complicated and expensive methods, like fracking, have now become attractive and profitable. In the meantime, fracking has already been used more than 1 million times in the USA alone. Over 60% of all new oil and gas wells are drilled by using fracking. Now, let's take a look at how fracking actually works. First, a shaft is drilled several hundred meters into the earth. From there, a horizontal hole is drilled into the gas-bearing layer of rock. Next, the fracking fluid is pumped into the ground using high-performance pumps. On average, the fluid consists of 8 million liters of water, which amounts to about the daily consumption of 65,000 people, plus several thousand tons of sand and about 200,000 liters of chemicals. The mixture penetrates into the rock layer and produces innumerable tiny cracks. The sand prevents the cracks from closing again. The chemicals perform various tasks. Among other things, they compress the water, kill it. Next, the majority of the fracking fluid is pumped out again. And now the natural gas can be recovered. As soon as the gas source is exhausted, the drill hole is sealed. As a rule, the fracking fluid is pumped back into deep underground layers and sealed in there. However, fracking is also associated with several considerable risks. The primary risk consists in the contamination of drinking water sources. Fracking not only consumes large quantities of fresh water, but in addition, the water is subsequently contaminated and is highly toxic. Though the danger is known and theoretically could be managed, In the USA already, sources have been contaminated due to negligence, carcinogenic, such as benzol or formic acid. The companies using fracking say nothing about the precise composition of the chemical mixture. But it is known that there are about 700 different chemical agents which can be used in the process. Carbon dioxide. Natural gas is less harmful than coal when burned. But nonetheless, the negative effects of fracking on the climate balance are overall greater. Firstly, the fracking process requires a very large consumption of energy. Secondly, the drill holes are quickly exhausted, and it's necessary to drill fracking holes much more frequently than for classical natural gas wells. In addition, about 3% of the recovered gas is lost in the extraction and escapes into the atmosphere. So how is fracking and its expected benefits to be assessed when the advantages are balanced against the disadvantages? When properly employed, this technique offers one way in the short to medium term to meet our demand for lower cost energy.
Okay, so that is what we call as fracking. And as was said in the video, the advantages and disadvantages balance each other. However, doing such provide us with a cheaper source of energy. Even if the energy is cheap, we still need to look and care for the things that really matters to us, and and those things include our environment. So to protect our environment, the best thing that we can do as of now is to avoid things that pollute our environment, reuse, reduce, and recycle what we have. That's what we can do. And of course, be educated on the things that we support so that we can really protect our environment. Hopefully, this equipped you with the knowledge and skills so that you can get a good grade in our MC assessment. Thank you so much. Bye bye.